Well, first of all, I just have to say your analysis that you go into of every episode and all, you teach me when do you hold to your beliefs and when do you open your mind up to something new. I don't think any of us get that right all the time.
You think so? I mean, I think...
No, you don't?
No, well, I mean, I don't think so.
Okay. Hello.
Good morning.
We got Moses and Paul. Just kidding.
I was just talking to Mike about that. I'm like, yeah, Brandon did a whole thing on that. I got to talk to him about it. Yeah.
Can you hold this so that they're both in frame? Awesome. Well, hello, guys.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Super excited about your roles this season. Of course, we've got some new faces as well, kind of on the antagonist side. We've got some people who are on the Sanhedrin, the Sadducees, the Pharisees. We've got all these different factions going on. Now, for you guys in particular, of course, being on the Pharisaical side, you've also got Yusuf, who we've seen a lot of you guys kind of butting heads with this season as you've kind of broken bad and you've kind of always... Oops, sorry, my bad. Thank you so much. You've kind of always been bad there.
I think so.
Whoa! So what are your thoughts on these different factions? What's going on with Gadara and with Yusuf, and how do your characters kind of navigate these different political divides?
Yeah, no, I think it's super interesting that, you know, the more I'm into the show, the more I'm educated on what the political landscape was, just even in-house among the Jews and then among the Pharisees. And, you know, everybody is serving their own self-interest and trying to advance themselves, either, you know, politically and socially. So watching all the infighting of what everybody thinks, but what was also really like enlightening for me is just the idea that, you know, debate is always there, and they're always debating and testing each other and challenging each other's beliefs, you know, which is interesting because, you know, you think of Pharisees are like, yeah, they're just like rule followers, right? Obey God and keep his commandments, and that's it. But that's, you know, there's such a wide variety of interpretations for that, you know, and the way that Yanni is, because he's not part of the 72 in the Sanhedrin,
right.
So he's like an orbiter and trying to be as influential as he can be because he has no actual, you know, power.
Some could say a leech, but I won't.
Yeah. So and being able to hear and absorb and digest other people's beliefs and not treat them according to just that they are a whole human being as well. I mean, that's the fun part for me, because, you know, Yanni can really dislike somebody and, you know, have a great time with them, you know.
And now with your character, obviously, I think is one of the most interesting characters in the show.
Thank you.
Potentially because of the potentials that could come, but also just seeing in season 4 this breaking moment. We get this kind of tease of you going to pray with Jesus, and then like you're getting closer and closer, and then it just falls apart, which we totally understand because it makes logical sense from a Pharisaical point of view, right? How do you navigate going through those emotions? You as an actor, obviously, kind of going through this time of like, I want to trust Jesus so badly, but I just can't.
Well, first of all, I just have to say your analysis that you go into of every episode and all, you teach me so many things about the show and about the world, about scripture and all of that, because I don't know anybody that does as deep of a dive as you do. I mean, Brandon will bring up screenshots of our like behind the scenes videos to find some little nugget, you know, and so I'm like, how do they even give you a pass to come to these? I have no idea. He's like this, he's the chosen sleuth. You're just letting the fox in the henhouse. No, but I love it. I love because you help teach us so much about this. So I think you would appreciate the fact that, you know, Shmuel isn't a bad person. What has he done that's so bad? The only thing that he's done is he led to John the Baptist getting detained so that we could find out why he was criticizing the religious leaders in such a profane way. But he was devastated when he found out that John the Baptist was killed. And it actually set him more on the path to search out Jesus because he didn't want the same thing to happen there. And so Shmuel's just a rule-following devotee of Torah and the oral tradition, which gets him in trouble with Jesus, who's now not always in agreement with oral tradition. He's a student of Nicodemus, all this. So I do feel like Shmuel is just somebody who's wrong, but he's not a bad person. And we don't actually want people who we raise to believe certain things to abandon their beliefs just so willy-nilly, just because something exciting comes along. And so the challenge we're all facing is...
Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this video and you want to see more content just like this, for example, example, full live streams or extra content behind the scenes that nobody else gets to see, you can go over to our Patreon at snipesupport.com, and that will allow you to see extra content that is just up there for our Patreon family alone. That's things like our full live streams that we do every single Sunday, or behind the scenes content, for example, like at ChosenCon, or some of these different things that we do around the channel. Anyway, if you're interested in that, you can join for as low as $5 a month, and it really does help us to continue to make videos just like this. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
And so the challenge we're all facing is, when do you hold to your beliefs and when do you open your mind up to something new? I don't think any of us get that right all the time.
Right.
And so Shmuel's a young man. He has plenty of time to come around and believe. And God will welcome him whenever that time is. And so what I actually see is, as you said, him moving closer to Jesus. But when he sees a woman come and waste all this money and all this expensive perfume,
After he's just said, don't do that.
that's right. Yeah, and his excuse is like, well, you won't always have me.
Right.
It's like, well, you're letting her call you God, and she's touching you, which is inappropriate between men and women, in front of her family. And then remember, Shmuel doesn't say, I'm going to go tell on you to the religious leaders. He just says, we can't have been found out to have been here and done nothing.
Right.
So we should remove ourselves and let them do whatever they're going to do, but we just can't be exposed to this. And so I feel really bad for Shmuel in that moment, that he was triggered by something that was just too much too soon. I mean, how much do we expect somebody as conservative as Shmuel to just abandon all of what he knows in this moment? It's just too much to ask, I think, for some people. And we encounter that in our lives all the time, where people can only grow so much so quickly. You need to give them time to come and meet you. And if you reject them and you insult them and call them a villain and whatever, is that going to speed up their acceptance? I don't think so. I think people actually end up having negative experiences with people in the church and the church itself, because the church tries to push them somewhere that's further than they can go in the moment. And then they just say, I don't want to be around that environment. I don't want to feel pressure. I want to feel love. I want to feel called. And so that's where I really love having this role, because it can stimulate that conversation. And I think you can appreciate the fact that Shmuel isn't a biblical character means they can use Shmuel to say things and do things to advance the story and flesh things out that would be much more controversial to have a biblical character do that stuff.
Right. Two more things. So you're playing Moses in a new project, obviously.
I am.
How does this differ? Obviously, you're playing one of the most massive leaders in the biblical story.
Yeah, no problem.
right?
No problem. Thanks.
I love how you've been doing it, by the way, and hopefully I'll be there later next month.
Well, tell me more about how much you love it.
I love it so far. I'm really excited about what Mitch is doing and what you guys are doing on that project.
Yeah, thank you.
But how does it differ from Yanni? I mean, obviously in a lot of different ways, but how do you see that?
Well, I mean, as far as my preparation goes, it doesn't really differ, but it's because I think what makes it funny, or what does make the comedy, is the fact that Moses is obviously taking it so seriously, and it's so overwhelming. I mean, if God called you tonight and was like, "Hey, I need you to lead millions of people," you know, your first instinct is like, "I got this."
Yeah.
You know, it's like me.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, as far as preparation goes, it's pretty much the same thing. You know, but obviously, you know, it's coming out as a comedy, but the interior work is all essentially the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we don't just love The Office or Parks and Rec because we laughed. We love it because we're connected to these characters.
Yeah.
Which is going to be really, really cool to see. Yeah. Overall, your relationship with Caiaphas in season 5. Obviously, there's going to be event happens. We're talking to Caiaphas. We're talking to everybody, and your relationship with Caiaphas, and then in turn Pilate through that. How is that working out in season 5? What do you think about that?
Well, Yanni's relationship to anybody with any power is, you know, it's funny. People who don't have any power typically have a more inflated ego because you have to protect it. You know what I mean? You have to protect yourself. And yeah, I just love, because in this season, Caiaphas has a couple of digs at Yanni, which you know, I really relished in, you know, as an actor. So, but he's, you know, because Caiaphas has a real high position, and Yanni is just not a leech, but
no, I get it.
Right, but just orbiting and trying to be as influential as he can.
And he's also been surpassed by someone he was teaching.
Yeah,
which I'm sure digs into him as well.
You think so? I mean, I think.
No, you don't?
No, well, I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think that being part of or a colleague with somebody who is advancing is also advancing him.
Okay.
You know? So I suppose in that respect, he is kind of leeching off of you.
Yeah, I never saw Yanni as a leech to Shmuel. I actually thought of Yanni as like, you know, when you go to you watch these like Indiana Jones movies or these adventure movies and you arrive in a new place and there's the local guide who's going to show you how things work and take you around and whatever it is. So I've always seen Yanni as kind of like taking Shmuel under his wing and showing him how things work. But, you know, he's not from Capernaum. He calls it a backwater, you know, town or whatever. Like, so I think he has his own feeling of like, well, my journey is just a little different. He's more ambitious. Shmuel's kind of reluctantly getting pulled into this stuff. So it's kind of hard to be jealous of somebody who's like so humble about it all. It seems like Yanni's just happy for his friend and like was waiting for his turn. But like, I just happened to run into this blaspheming con man before he did after the feeding of the 5,000. So I ended up being the one that put in the report and I got the promotion because of that. And so I never get the sense from Yanni that there's any kind of leeching. I see it as like he's Shmuel's hype man because he knows it's going to come back to him, and he knows that Shmuel needs Yanni for his navigating this world. So I think it's a very symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Cool. Yeah.